As you look through the photographs, I want you to keep in mind the narrative of these people's lives in the context of being created equal. Towards the end of my slideshow, I have a special section on Afghanistan, because most of the time we are not aware that we are at war with these people.
Since its founding, Synergos has also been guided by the vision and wisdom of a remarkable woman. She understood nearly 25 years ago what could be accomplished by bringing people together and bridging divides.
We're gathered here to celebrate the work that's being done for women and girls. And we're also, as we do each year, giving the award that is named the David Rockefeller Bridging Leadership Award after my father.
Bisi is a bold social change philanthropist for her leadership in women's and Africans philanthropy. Through the African Women's Development Fund, she played a central role in making women-led and focused philanthropy a powerful force for change throughout Africa. Women's funds empower women and girls to become agents of change and opportunity. Investing early in women and girls change their lives, yielding social returns in their communities that last forever.
When I was a teenager growing up in Lagos, I had a friend next door. She was an older woman. Her name was Bola, and because she was older than me, I called her Auntie Bola. She was married, and her husband beat her every other day. And sometimes I would sit with her to hold her hand, and sometimes I would even help nurse her wounds. And whenever I asked her, "Why don't you leave? Why do you put up with this?" she would tell me, "I don't have a choice. I need to stay." And so as a young girl, I started thinking that the idea of going through life as a woman and being told that I had to live with oppression, with suffering and intimidation, and I had no choice in the matter, I found that totally unacceptable. And so this is why I have spent most of my life ensuring that women do have choices. And that is why I have worked with others to build institutions to ensure that women on the continent that I love so much are empowered. For the past 8 years, I have been part of the Synergos family as a Synergos Senior Fellow. I have come across some of the most inspiring leaders in the world, working on lasting solutions to all kinds of problems in their communities. And quite a number of them are here in this room. I salute all my fellow senior fellows. I am very proud to be part of this community. I have learned a lot from them. I have been inspired by them. And what I have taken from this network has, I believe, strengthened my own leadership and my own insights in this field.
Peter and Jen understand and have always understood that you can't treat poverty and violence against women as separate issues. In fact, the siloing of these issues is to some degree what perpetuates both. And I think one of the reasons I honor both of them so deeply is that they think out of the box of philanthropy. We know that until women have economic rights and freedom, they will be held hostage to violence, and until violence ends, women will never have economic freedom, and they go hand in hand and they move in both directions. Jennifer and Peter have the kind of sophisticated understanding to fund at the intersection. And because of that, they are willing to take risks and build movements and build infrastructure change, rather than only supporting cosmetic, quick, narcissistic fixes.
Thank you, obviously, to Synergos, to David for being such an inspiration to so many, and for Peggy as well. What Jennifer and I knew immediately, really, is that In our world, the undervalued asset is the adolescent girl. And all you have to do is invest in her, and she does the rest. And I learned, after I looked it up in the dictionary, that philanthropy really just means the love of people. So we can all practice it every day. And so I really just urge you all to look at the woman next to you who was once a girl, look to the daughter at home, look to the girl halfway around the world, and know how powerful she is. Trust that power, believe in her, and she will in fact do the rest, and we will all be better off. Thank you.
I'm wondering, given Synergos' passionate commitment to bridging across divides, if each of you, perhaps you first, Bizi, could speak to the extent to which you manage, in the midst of these crises and difficult situations, to bring people together at the table to shift the consciousness so that the situation will change.
These are issues that are not going to go away anytime soon. We are dealing with structures and processes and systems that have been put in place over millennia. We are dealing essentially with patriarchy. And I know that a lot of people are allergic to that word. But one of the successes we've had in promoting women's rights, especially on the African continent, is understanding that we do need to engage with patriarchal structures and systems. And in doing that, we are also clear that we are not fighting men or fighting with men. We are fighting systems and structures that are dominated by men, and also a few women who benefit from that. So it's essential for us to bring together people who are working in different levels and at different spaces, the community leaders, the religious leaders, the policymakers, the journalists, the union leaders, market women, a whole range of people who can then enable us transform the conversations that we have on a day-to-day basis and recreate the identities that tell us that we can't have choices just because we happen to be women.
And Jennifer, from your perspective, can you speak to that issue of sort of the bridging versus the confrontation?
And I think a key bridging that needs to go on that we really value and try to do in our funding, and is I think almost the only way to do it, is to give voice to populations and people you're trying to serve themselves. Who am I to say what it is like to have been trafficked or been in certain situations? That is not the place for my voice. But I can certainly support activists and voices who are organizing and who've experienced the systems of oppression and exploitation and whatnot, and had these experiences, and who also are sometimes and most often the best source of solutions to some of these problems.
Bizi has raised a very interesting aspect of philanthropy from the continent, and I'm just wondering how, with your knowledge and with what Jennifer's doing on the continent, how do you see us maintaining the way that we've been giving as Africans and inviting philanthropists from out of Africa to do it the way we do it? How do you make the two meet so that it works?
I think one of the opportunities that we should take advantage of is the existence of organizations on the continent now who are grant makers themselves, and the African Grant Makers Network. I'm not putting in a plug for the network because I happen to be the chair, but I think that's a logical way to go if we are talking about bridging leadership.
We discovered that in successful and sustainable partnerships, there wasn't an absence of conflict. Conflict does exist, and sometimes it needs to exist. But in the context of the chains of trust that we're able to gradually develop, reaching further and further out, there become ways of managing the conflict so that it can be productive and creative rather than destructive and leading to violence. And that's the note I would like to end on.